Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvo Andhakaro Vai Rukarastvo Nivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today I honor and remember my Guru's birth date, Swami Dayananji's 94th birth date. So very grateful for his presence in my life, and which really completely changed it. So in a way, it's a father which is just, if not more so, just as important as your biological father. Very important relationship. Anyway, my pranams to him. So to continue these classes on the attainment of non-attachment, so the context that we are pursuing is the topic that if we want to discover the total independence of myself from any problems in my life, which is really what we are all trying to do. We just don't have the right information to complete that process, but we are all trying to do that. If you look at your life, you find that you are all seekers of Ananda, but not knowing how we can attain everlasting Ananda, we just go with whatever is available and we do the best we can. But with the teaching of Vedanta, a goal, a much better permanent goal of independence from the problems, asangata, is both taught and it is possible. So this is what we are learning. So there we saw that the sense of bondage meaning dependence on other things, is intricately tied to a sense of kartritvam, that I am the doer, I am the bhokta. Whatever happens, I did my best, and this is what was given to me. I'll try to do better next time. So this kartritvam and bhoktritvam is tied to sangata, not asangata, but to sangata. So this is a very definition of a limited person. So it is very natural that as a limited person, I don't accept it, because that's not my real nature. But yet I don't know how to get out of it. So this is the conundrum that we have. So there in pursuing this, it was told that you have to analyze this intelligently. You cannot just wish for it, because the mind does not depend on just wishing for things. It wants proof, it wants logic, and it wants a very definite way of getting from point A to point B. And so for that, it is said that, fine, we understand that you are trying to gain independence, but let me show you a good method of gaining this independence, which is to observe and to learn your sense of kartritva. And it starts with the assertion that it is very natural to all of us that I feel as a limited being, I am the karta. I am the one who is responsible for my life. I have to get out of this situation that I am in, to change my life in one way or the other. This is what I have to do. And yes, I get some help from others and so on, but really this is the truth about me. I am a karta. So the kartritvam, the satyam of the kartritvam, is not something that I can mess with. I don't know how can I cannot say this is not true, because it is. So there, the Shastras say this is really not the case. It is not the case that you in fact are the karta. It appears that you are the karta, but if you inquire into it, this solid wall of kartritvam begins to break down. And so it gives us the prakriya, the methodology of how to break this down. And be patient. Look and observe. Learn from your experiences and keep proceeding. Because to go from kartritvam to akartritvam is not like a chutki. Yes, it is if you wake up from a dream, but this is such a solid dream that it's going to take a little longer time. But be patient, have shraddha. So there we see that a very nice, interesting example given by Swami Akhandananda. Swami Akhandananda says that a person wakes up in the morning, early in the morning, and finds that the room is dark, the windows are covered, and so it's a dark room. And then as he wakes up, he finds something very interesting. He finds that there is a lot of light coming into the room. And he's wondering how that is the case. And he finds that last night he had done some puja, and he had, let me turn this thing off, sorry. And he had a metal thali, metal plate full of water that he was using for his puja. And he finds that this water is brimming with light. So he says, this is very interesting. Where did this light come from? And he finds that there is an image of sun in that water. So he looks around and he finds that, my gosh, there is a upper window on the very top that is reflecting the sun of the rays of the sun. And that's why it is lighting up the whole room. So just by doing that connection, he finds that this is a copy of the sun, And he goes outside, and it's a very sunny day, and he opens up all the windows, and now the whole room is lighted. So he says that really we need to do the same thing. How? We need to see that situated in my heart, in my hridaya, there is something that is making my buddhi vibrate. Vibrate meaning it's becoming very active. My knowledge of the things, my estimation, my desires, all of that is being activated. So, as you know, the Kena Upanishad begins with the question by a student in saying, impelled by what does the mind move? How is it moving? Something is going on here. So this is exactly what it is in this verse number 61 from chapter 18. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshya arjuna tishtati brahmayan. And so it says that you find that there is something impelling your buddhi and your mind. It is kind of like a plate of water which is lighting up the whole room. And so now, if you follow where the sun in the plate of water is coming from, it leads you to the truth of the sun. Very similarly, the Acharyas say, Lord Krishna says also, so if you look at both the verses together, so Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshya arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra arudhani mayaya. And the second one is tameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. Beautiful verses. Beautiful verses. So let's understand this. This is very helpful, very revealing. So just like in that example, as Swami Akhandananda pointed out, that this moving Surya reflected in the water from this metallic plate was lighting up the whole room. Not the whole universe, but just the whole room. But then if you follow the lingam, follow the hints from where it is coming, and he says, oh yes, that Roshandan is open. That, sometimes in India we have this. So you have the windows at the ground level. But then above that, I don't see that in the US as well, but it is there. I shouldn't say that. On the top, there are some open windows which cannot be opened and closed, but they bring the light in. Or just like, on the top of the roof. But here, the Roshandan is on the top. So if you follow that, you go to the sun, which is not only lighting up this room, but lighting up the whole universe. So this is the prakriya. Similarly here, it's pointed out that if we begin the search, where is the mind gaining its actionability, all the movement, what's behind it? You find that, and then of course it is prompted by the Shastra. It is prompted. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshe arjuna sartishtati sarva bhutanam. It's prompted by the Shastra that to look for Ishvara, you don't go far. You don't go searching for Ishvara in different places. It is right here in your own heart. Very close. Follow it. Follow the lead with intelligence, with Shraddha. Follow the lead. And if you do, you will have a startling discovery. Startling discovery. My goodness, I did not realize the startling discovery of what? So in that example, the startling discovery of the source of the light, the ultimate source of the light. And so in this methodology, in this prakriya, if we follow it, we find that the ultimate source of what I want is right here in my own heart. And that ultimate goal, ultimate what I want is Satsvarupaha. Satsvarupaha means the very nature of non-change. Sat meaning non-change. And Chitsvarupaha. And Anandasvarupaha, most importantly. I don't have to make a gradations that I want Sat but not Chit, Chit but not Sat, and none of them except Ananda is all the same thing. You'll find it. The very source of what I'm seeking for. So what you find is that the action in my heart, the changes in my mind, the uncertainty of my buddhi, and all of those, if I just follow the very source of it, you're done. And so that's the second verse. Tameva sharanam gaccha. Tameva sharanam gaccha means keep following the lead systematically. Think over this, because your mind is not going to accept just a edict that, you're happy, be happy, be happy. No. So the inquiry has to be done in a way that it really leads you to the truth. And then once you see the truth, then you're done. That you yourself are the Satsvarupa. Ishvara is you, not the Ishvara who is managing the whole. No, that's not what we're talking about. The very essence of Ishvara, which is Brahman, Sarvatma, Bhagavan, that is you. You're winking through you. So he says, Tameva sharanam gaccha. may you seek the refuge of this permanent source of Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sarva Bhavena Bharata. Look to see in every transaction, this Ishvara is there. See it. Look at it. If you do, tat prasadat, so that with your mind which is educated will become quiet. That's the prasada of the mind, prasada of the Ishvara to the mind. Tat prasadat shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. Then your mind will not keep on seeking. It's done. Beautiful, 2 verses, honestly. So now, as we promised in the last class, we will do a quick revision of this topic, this verse actually, from the 6th chapter of Panchadashi, called the Chitradeepa Prakaranam. And it is verse number 171. And so what I will do in the next half hour or so is to point out some of the key concepts in the next 6 to 7 verses of this text, Panchadashi, starting with 171, which is exactly the same as we did before from the Gita. It's borrowed from the Gita. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra arudhani mayaya. Okay, so let us go through each one of the verses, and I've gone through and make some notes that I think are, because we don't have the time to systematically go through every word for every verse. So I'll just give you the synopsis of it and connect it to what Swami Akhandananda is saying in terms of gaining asangata. So, and gaining asangata means akartrita, not that I am not doing anything. It's just happening. Okay, so let's just look at it. We've already gone through some important words, but let's revise it. So in verse 171, Arudha means to mount, to be united with. And I think that just like we had this example of this dish and the water in the dish and reflecting the sun, exactly the same can be done in examining the contents of an appliance, electrical appliance. So you can use the same logic for that if you were to start to examine a electrical appliance, even for example a cell phone. So when the children look at the cell phone, they can see a lot of action. There are pictures, there is sound, there's a lot of changes, beautiful things going on, a display. But then if there is a desire to understand how this is all happening, if you were to analyze the components of a cell phone, what you will find is that if the battery is charged, which is electricity, then the whole cell phone is functioning well. And if the electricity is not functioning, then the cell phone cannot work. So what you can do, you can actually find sometimes, that happens to people, their cell phone ceases to work. Or if we now leave the example of the cell phone and just look at a plugged-in electrical appliance, you find that the appliance is not working. And so now you have to see why is it not working? Just an hour ago, I was plugging in the ice machine for my wife Pummy, who's still recovering from her knee operation. And still icing is very important because her knee is still swollen. She still has some issues with that. So the icing is important. So the other day, in fact, just today, I was plugging in her ice machine and we find that it was not working. And we found that the electricity is working, but the appliance is not working. So I had to fiddle with some controls on it, and finally we figured out that electricity is there, but it is not working. So I had to make some changes. So here also, if a person's body-mind complex is not really working well, then it is not the fault of the electricity. It is not the fault of Ishvara. It is not the fault of Atma. It's just that the appliance itself is not reflecting the Atma. It's what happens in death, precisely. The Atma is still there. So in the case of, a loved one that has gone, the Atma doesn't go anywhere. He's still there. But the machine has broken down. That's all. So the Atma, Paramatma, Sarvatma is really not dependent on so the electricity is not dependent on the appliance. But the electricity can impel the appliance. So that impelling is what is called arudha. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra arudhani mayaya. So here we saw all the examples that the arudham means that the connection, once you have the connection, means you have an intimate contact, and then this yantra of the body becomes you and yours. You can say, I'm unhappy today. Why are you unhappy? Because I have a pain in my body. You can say that. So now the body has become you and yours. And where does this thing occur? Where does this pain occur? In the buddhi. In the buddhi. And so the reflection in the buddhi becomes intimately connected to the body and mind and becomes sad or happy or what have you. So in verse number 172, now we can proceed further. This is given, in fact, if you want, I can just very quickly chant the verses. It won't take too long. So in verse number 172, it says, Sarvabhutani Vijnanam Sarvabhutani Vijnanamaya Aste Hridaye Sthitaha Tat Upadana Bhute Shas Bhuteshaha Tat Upana Tat Upadana Bhuteshaha Tatta Vikriyate Khalu. So it says, all it says is that the Hridaya, which we have already done, I'm just giving you a more detailed version of that in the Panchadashi for you to follow up, that the Hridaya is the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the I thought. So the I thought is not the Atma, it is the reflection of the Atma. So that is the Hridaya, as we have talked about before. And so now he says something more interestingly here. Situated in the Hridaya is the Anandamaya Kosha. So the Vijnanamaya Kosha is as the I thought, but whether I'm happy or not is actuated by the Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha comes from where? We saw that in the Taittiriya Upanishad. It comes from Ananda. We saw that in the Panchabaddashi, the last 5 chapters that we did. Where does the Anandamaya Kosha come from? Which is deep inside of you. Again, the same thing, if you follow the lead of Ananda, if you follow the lead of the Sat, it leads to the Atma, which is none other than Paramatma, which is Ishvara. If you follow the lead of the Chit, it leads you to the same spot. Where does my conscious comes from? It comes from the Jnanam, which is the very essence of the Atma, unchanging, as we've been seeing that on the Saturday classes. So the lead of the Sat also leads to the Atma, Chit also leads to the Atma, and the Ananda leads to the Atma also. And my gosh, I am the very source of the Anand. Here I remember just recently, just in Saturday morning, Sunday morning rather, there was the anniversary of the ashram. And I don't know if you had a chance to view it. I viewed it from beginning to end. And 37th anniversary of the Sarasburg ashram. I was very happy to see that, because it is I was at the very forefront of the establishment of it 39 years ago. And to see that its flourishing was wonderful. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. Sorry. There was a talk by Swami Viditatmananda ji. It's called Prayer. And I don't know whether it's still available on YouTube or not. That's something you can find out. But I really urge you to listen to that talk. Prayer. Absolutely marvelous. Swami Viditatmananda's coverage, his thoughts, his suggestions, his insights are just absolutely marvelous. So in the talk, he gave a very good example. And so there was, I think it was in the answer to one of the satsang questions. Yeah, I remember that now. There was a question from a person in the audience who said, Swamiji, Puja Swamiji said, and that we are all repeating it, be a contributor in life. Be a contributor. Not just a participant, but be a contributor. And so that will make you very happy. So he says, if I'm always a contributor, then when do I become a recipient? If I'm just busy contributing and I don't really receive the contribution on my own, then what is life for? Or something like that. I mean, but that was the sense of the question. Tell you, Swamiji's answer was just absolutely wonderful. He said, your joy from receiving is well known to you. Well known to you, well experienced by you. Somebody gives you something, especially if it is unexpected, or you achieve some status, or whatever it is, you are a recipient of it, and the joy resulting from that is can be ascribed to, wrongly actually it turns out, as we studied in the 5 chapters of Panchadashi and Ananda, Brahmananda, wrongly ascribed to an outside. And say, I was very happy. I got this gift from a friend of mine. And what a wonderful thing to do. And I'm very happy that he sent this gift to me. And I'm very happy because of that. So you ascribe your friend as the source of the happiness. So that happens as a recipient. But he says, Swamiji said, but here's something very interesting going on. When you contribute correctly means that you consciously part with something that really belongs to you, like money or some seva, some contribution. Do you know you feel joy? Okay, the question is, when you are contributing something, why do you feel joy? This is a very important question. You see the thing? If you receive something from someone which was needed by you, then you are happy and you thank somebody who contributed that to you, and he says, you've done a wonderful thing for me. So you can say that sense of joy was given from someone outside of you. Okay, that one is good. But when you contribute something and you feel joy, and you do, this is a very common thing. The only thing that happens is that we don't discover that until quite late in our life. This kind of, if you don't mind, I do a quick, I'll come back to the subject matter, but it reminds me of one of the, Swami Dayanand Ji used to have some very favorite jokes. And so one of the ones he was talking about is that there was a man who was congenitally blind. He was blind. He was never able to see. He was blind from the very beginning. So when after a while he kind of accepted it and so on. Then a friend of his told him that there is a new procedure which possibly restores the sight to a congenitally blind person. He says this is a brand new thing that has come up and I think we need to investigate it. So they take this blind person to an eye specialist who looks at his eyes and examines it, and through all the so on. He said, yes, this is a curable thing. It is not something that he has to stay blind. You can see it. So everybody was just saying, my goodness, to get a sight in one's life is just amazing. You can imagine that. So this date for the operation was fixed, and the doctor said that this is going to be a very delicate operation using lasers and this, that, or the other. But I'm confident that I can fix it. And then all you have to do is you have to keep your eyes closed with a bandage for 2 hours to 3 hours, and then you have to let it heal. And then at the end that I'll be back in about 3 hours time, and we will open the bandage and then we'll see. So they did all of that. So the doctor went away, the operation was done. The doctor felt that the operation was successful. Then he came back after 2-3 hours and he said, okay, now we will open the bandage. So please open it. So this patient said, sir, wait. How do I know whether the operation is successful? How will I know? So the doctor said that when you remove the bandages, you will see a different sight. You will actually see colors and forms and so on. That's how we will know it'll work. So he says, well, you promised me so much. You said that this is a new operation, new science, this or the other. What if it doesn't work? I would be so disappointed. I will not be able to live together. So the doctor said, well, I think theoretically there is a possibility it may not work, but I can tell you I've done many of these, and yours also was done very nicely, and I think you're going to be able to see it. So just open it. He says, no. I can't open it. You have to assure me. He says, oh, I'm assuring you. What else can I do? No, this is not it. What if I don't remove it? Do not remove it because I'm okay blind as I am. It's okay. I don't want to do anything. Swamiji says, funny as this example is, he was actually talking about some Vedanta itself, but I would borrow that example in going back to what Swami Viditatmananda was saying, in answer to the question that if I'm only contributing, then how am I going to receive? Very, very significant thing. Just look at it. Beautiful. He said, try it. Try being a contributor. And you will see a sense of satisfaction, some joy. So now I can borrow that example from Puja Swamiji, and he said, well, you say that I will be happy when I become a contributor. What if I'm not? And what if I do the contribution? Supposing you ask me for $1,000 of donation to aim for Seva. That's a lot of money. I could give this to my kids. And now you're saying, no, just give it to a non-profit cause. Okay, I give it to them. Supposing I do not get any satisfaction, what will happen then? Somebody will say, Baba, try it. Try giving 1,000. Just you take out your checkbook right now and write down aim for seva. Close your eyes. Give it to, send it to Vijay Kapoor, care of aim for seva. Send it to him. Just give it to them. But what if I don't get any satisfaction? He says, try it. Try it. A very significant example. You know why? I tell you why. This is why when he was giving the story, I said, this is a good way to look at it. You see, if you are a recipient, then you can fool yourself that the happiness was created by someone other than you. But if you are a contributor and you find a joy, can you not conclude that the joy was already in you? But not invoked yet? This was very significant, beautiful. What a lovely example. It's true. So, all the acharyas, this is what this book that we are following from Swami Akhandanandaji. Not just this, but you look at any Sadguru and their examples, they all say that really to live a life where you are a contributor, you are helping, you are learning, you are following the edict of the Ishvara and so on, you find there's no material things necessary, you will feel very happy. Discover it, find it. So, what it means is, just going back to what we were doing here in verse number 172, that the upadana karanam means the very material of happiness is already inside of you. But it's the denial of it through your attitudes and so on that you don't invoke it. That's it. Very beautiful, very profound, really, analysis of this. That as a contributor, you feel happy. You haven't imported it from anyone. You have it. And it follows very well. Although we are talking about kartritvam, but if you just extend that to say that the sense of limitation, the jivatvam, that I'm just a small, limited person, you can expand it by becoming more profuse, more giving, more at ease with the world, just by yourself. It's in you. You don't need to do anything. So this is also part of that, is that you are finding. So this is finding the lead. This is called lingam. So you find, how do I get to my own self? And you find, really speaking, you have it. As we will be talking more detail. So, in verse number 173, I'm just going to go through the quick tour of these verses. In 173, it points out, I can even read every one of them, Dehadi panjaram yantram tad aroha abhimanita vihita pratishiddheshu pravittihi brahmanam bhavet. Beautiful. So he's defining all of the terminology in the verse number 171. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati. Brahmayan sarvabhutani. What is that? Brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra arudhani mayaya. So he's explaining all of that. So here he says, yantram is dehadi panjaram. So here the yantram, the machine is really none other than what we enjoy as myself, my body, mind, all the sense organs, all the physiological functions. Beautiful, functioning, very beautiful yantra. So that is the yantra, is the sharira. Sharira means all the other things. Then arohanam. Arohanam means mounting, climbing up. Is what? So he says, Tad aroha abhimanita. Swami, the Panchadashikara here has made it very clear. And this is what Swami Akhandananda is saying, no mistake about it. So the abhimanita is the arohanam. Okay. Then comes the interesting thing. Vihita pratishidhetu pravrittihi brahmanam bhavet. Brahmayan sarvabhutani. So you're saying that it makes it work. How does it do that? Because Vihita prasiddhetu pravitti. So Vihita means what is enjoined, what is accepted as the right behavior in the world is Vihita. Then Pratishiddha means don't do it. And so this is the Brahmanam of the mind. Sometimes you feel like you're doing it, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you follow the edict, sometimes you go against it. This is the Brahmanam. More words on this in a few minutes. This Brahmanam is going to be expanded. So here Swami Maheshananji gives this example. Brahmayan means that sometimes you follow the Shastra, sometimes you don't. He gives this example. He says, there was a man who walked into a police station and said, "Sir, I have just killed someone, a human being." Policeman said, "You did what?" He said, "I'm sorry, sir. I killed someone." So, Swami Maheshananji says, when that happens and the policeman does not arrest him, he himself would lose his job. If somebody comes and said, "Sir, I have killed someone," immediately he is put behind, all these janjeeras are put on his hand and so on and so forth. You immediately arrest him. Then you start asking the question, when did this happen? When did you kill? He said, "It was dark and I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I killed that person." "Or who was it that you killed?" "Sir, I don't know. All I know is that I killed him." "Why did you kill him?" "Well, sir, I don't know. My mind is going berserk. I'm just..." So the policeman just said, This person is not able to tell, but he keeps on saying, I killed, I killed, I killed. So they remanded him to custody, and they took him to a judge, and the state assigned him with a lawyer. And the lawyer asked him, so what happened? Who did you kill? He says, I don't know. I've already told the policeman. Why did you kill him? He says, I really don't know. I don't know why I killed him. Where was it? Oh, this was in the darkness and so on and so forth. So this day, they were not able to prove who he killed. They were looking around to see if there's somebody missing. They sent out a newspaper article and there was nobody missing. So nobody knows now who he killed. But he is saying, I have killed. And why he killed, he is not sure of. How it happened, he is not sure of. But they imprisoned him. Because the law says if as soon as a person admits to such a serious crime, don't let him go. Put him in. Is the example. Funny example. You know, this is the very similar to the example that Swami Viditatmanandaji gave, which is that a person says, I don't want to go out because the dogs will attack me because I'm a cat. So it's something similar to that, is I have killed. So why is this example important in this context? It is because without any cause, without any proof, without the specifics and so on, I tell everybody that I am the Karta. I am the Bhokta. I am just a limited person. I am at the mercy of the world. So the Shastra says, how did you come to this conclusion? I don't know. Don't ask me all these questions. Isn't it very obvious? I am just this limited person, and I am the one who is doing it. Shastra says, no, you haven't. You're not. Ishvara is doing it. I don't know anything about Ishvara. All I'm saying is I am doing it. So what do? It's exactly like that. If you have decided that you are a jiva, you are the karta, you are the bhokta, then the world imprisons you. You put into this jail. And what is the jail? You are at the very mercy of this yantra. That's it. Okay, suffer. Even though you are not able to give me a proof, but you have just made this decision. And there is nothing else that you want to even... I'm telling you, this is not true, but you're not willing to listen. Okay, do it. All right. One of these days, when you come to your senses, you will ask yourself, really? Am I the karta? Am I not the karta? Who else is doing it? So this is the example that Swami Maheshananji gave as part of the verse number 173. So I thought I'd talk about that. So in verse number 174, which is the next one, a little bit more detail about Brahmanam. the Vidhi Nishedha. So I'll read it. Vijnanamaya rupena tat pravrittihi swarupataha swashaktya ishaha vikriyate mayaya brahmanam hitat. So what it means is that this going up and down, going up and down means up meaning doing the right thing, down meaning not doing the right thing, lying. If you are lying, you are doing something wrong. If you're telling the truth, you're doing something right. So this kind of a back and forth is Brahmanam. Okay? Now there is a further detail to this which says that it is very much like mounted on this horse on a merry-go-round, you're going up and down. Like a child is doing that and he says, "Look, Mom, I'm going up. Now I'm down. Now I'm up." You feel that I am going down. I'm coming up. Exactly happens when you're driving a car. I'm driving 80 miles per hour. This is so funny. Last night, my wife and I had gone to visit our son in San Francisco. And this is unbelievable how fast the whole traffic has begun. I remember not driving a mile over 65 miles per hour at one time. Then it became 70. Okay, you can go up to 70 and not be looking for a cop at night time. Then, if you're driving at 70, you are being pushed by others behind and say, "Go faster," especially on the left-hand lane. So you have to go 75. Last night, I swear, I'm not giving you an exaggeration. We were coming back on 280 back from San Francisco late at night, about 9:30 or so. And everybody was going fast. And I was not even in the left lane, I was in the second lane. I looked at my odometer, I'm going 82. And I see a cop sitting right there on the edge. I said, "Oh my God, I haven't had a ticket for, God knows when, I can't even remember. Maybe 20 years ago. Bhagwan has been very kind to me. Not that I don't deserve it, I actually drive fast. But somehow I have not been caught." So I said, "Oh well, this is the time." So I slowed down to, anyway, I started to slow down to 74, then people behind me were pushing me. So I had to go back to 78, 79, thinking one of these times he's going to come back. Nothing. So I feel I'm driving very fast. I'm not driving very fast, I'm sitting there. So it is just like going merry-go-round. You're going up, you're going down. Really speaking, why you're going up and down is determined by the operator of the merry-go-round. He pushes a button and then everybody goes up and down more faster. Pushes another button, you slow down. And you think you're doing it. So the Brahmanam also means that it is a karyam, not a karanam. And the karanam is nothing but prarabdha karma, your own previously mandated by Ishvara. Anyway, so that's number 174. Let's go to 175. Here, the concept of the antaryami is discussed. Antaryamayati iti yuktya ayameva arthaha shrutau shrutaha prithivyadishu sarvatra nyayaha ayam yojjatam dhiya. So he says that you should see that Ishvara working as the Antaryami, Ante Tishtam Yamayati, that situated in your Hridaya, it makes you go back and forth. And this is the Antaryami. Same thing. And then he says, Prithvyadishu sarvatra nyayaha ayam yojjata dhiya. Beautiful. He says, not only you, but everything else in this whole creation is also, there is an Antaryami. And not only in people, even in Jadavastu, like the Prithvi, Surya, Chandrama, do they not all follow some kind of a order? Who determines that order? It's not random. Because all order can only be coming from a conscious vastu, one who is conscious of it. It is the Ishvara. So he says, first of all, you should see that Ishvara is your Antaryami. That's the first line. Antaryamayati iti yuktya, by the reasoning, careful analysis. Then he says, not only that, Prithvyadishu sarvatra nyayayam yojjata dhiya, yojjatam dhiya. He says also, see that this antaryamita, situated inside of you, making you do things, is not only true for conscious people, but even in inertness, it is there. In fact, what you should glean from this, as Swami Maheshananji points out, is that the whole universe is acting according to the order of Ishvara. You cannot say that Ishvara is only managing one part of it. This is why we don't say that there is a certain, that there is a devil who is separate from that. No such thing. The whole thing is nothing but Ishvara, according to the karma phala of the people. Then in 176, he brings in a quotation from Mahabharata, from Duryodhana. And Duryodhana says, sometimes I feel like telling the truth, but something happens inside of me. I don't tell the truth. I lie. Why? What is impelling me from doing wrong things? He says, I'm disappointed in myself, but I don't know what else to do. So here, Swami Maheshananji points out, this is 176, so I'll read it. Janami dharmam nacha me pravittihi. Janami adharmam nacha me pravittihi. Kena pidevena hridi sthitena yatha niyuktyo asmi yatha karomi. He says, whatever is in my heart, I keep on doing it, whether I do things correctly or not. Why? How? Why can't I follow my conscience? What is impelling me for not following my conscience? So here, Swami Maheswaranji points out that in the Brahma Sutra 2.342, Adhikaranam 2, and then 3.42, Vyasa says, Krita prayatnena No, Krita Prayatna Apekshastu. This is the Brahma Sutra. You can look it up. Krita Prayatna Apekshastu, meaning that you do based on what you have done before. The power of prarabdha karma. Sometimes it goes against the grain of your thinking. You want to do the right thing. Arjuna used to say the same thing to Krishna. What impels my mind to do things? I don't understand. So there it says, this going up and down is also the prarabdha karma. And then in the verses number 178 and 177 and 178, it points out that, are you telling me, so it points out several questions here, important questions. Are you telling me that Ishvara is doing everything, I don't have to do anything? So how do I lead my life? I don't do anything. Just let Ishvara take care of it. You are the one who was telling me this. Is that what you want me to do? And that doesn't seem plausible. On one hand, you're telling me Ishvara is doing everything. On the other hand, you say do the right thing. Why? How? And what are the benefits of my understanding that I am not the main doer? That part is very simple. We know that. And in fact, the answer to all of these, it says no. That's not what it is. You know, in the Western saying also, I think in the Bible, I think it says it, God helps those that help themselves. The entire pravritti, the very action, the very vyavahara, the very conduct, the very attitude and so on, is also given to you by Ishvara. Follow that. You cannot abdicate it and say, let Ishvara take care of it. I'm not doing anything. You can't do that. Because even where you are today and where you are going is also the deeds done by Ishvara, based on your own karma phala. So this is why the Gayatri mantra is such an important mantra. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. So when you see the sun in the morning, chant this verse. And when you chant this verse, understand the real meaning of this verse. What this says is, I know you are situated inside of me, O Ishvara. You are the one who is regulating my life. You are the one who is making the sun rise. You are the one, by making the sun rise, allowing me to see things. You are the one who is giving me enough heat for my body to function. I know that. Can I request you something now that I recognize you? So the Gayatri mantra, the first one is a recognition, is a namaskara. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam. Hey Varenyam, you are the very doer of this whole thing. Can I request you now something? Can I make my mind can you take charge of my mind and make sure that I think correctly and for my own good, and I follow my own conscience and I don't go against it? Can you please do that? Because I don't know if I'm capable of doing it. I need your help. This is the meaning of the Gayatri Mantra. So, in conclusion, therefore, a correct understanding of Ishvara's presence in me by keeping a lead correctly, leading up to it, is the only one that will help me understand there is a greater Karta than me. I have some minor role to play. It's kind of like just keeping my hand on the steering wheel. But there is a lot of machinery behind, which I am not really in control of. And may that all work well, so I reach my goal of asangata, non-attachment. This is the essence of these. So I think that topic is, I may have a few words, a few more paragraphs to cover under this number 3, but then we will go on to a different aspect of looking at gaining asangata. So with that, I close the class. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Goal of asangata. Palamani, okay, good. I forgot that you had gone to India. I was wondering where you were. So good to have you back. So Chiranjeevi, what I would recommend is that, so these classes are really meant for mananam, meaning that it is really meant for people that have been studying Vedanta and have really gone through the basics of what Vedanta is quite thoroughly. But this is about mananam, to reflect on it, to give commentaries and so on. So the questions like that you had yesterday or last time and this one here means you have to really do a lot of study, and these classes may not be the right one for you. You're welcome to stay here, but I would suggest that I will actually send this message out to some of the other students, and if there are some satsang group that is starting or not, then I would ask you to take some very basic books first, study that, then these kinds of questions like you're asking will become more relevant for you. Okay? So that's what I would do. All right. Good to see you all, and we will see you hopefully next Tuesday. Hari Om.